Hi students. Okay, so today is going to be the last part of lesson 7-4. So 7-4 part 1 was finding equivalent fractions using models. And yesterday you guys found equivalent fraction using multiplication. Today you're going to continue on with using multiplication, but you're going to add in one more operation with that. So it's still going to have a little bit of multiplication in there. But these were my examples from yesterday in the video. What if I had given you, for example, this one first? And I wanted you to find an equivalent fraction. Though, let's say if I was thinking about a pizza had smaller pieces. So instead, I gave you 2/12 first. And I said I want you to find it where it would only have 1 as the numerator. Well, I can't go from 2 to 1 by multiplying because it's obviously smaller. So let's think about the inverse of multiplication, and the inverse would be division. So I would have to think about what would I divide by? Well, 2 divided by 2 would get me 1. And in order for it to be an equivalent fraction, remember, whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator. So I would also divide by 2, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now you'll notice I get the same answer, okay? Because don't forget, when we learned back in previous units, multiplication and division are inverse of each other, right? So this time you're just going from a bigger, and I don't mean bigger because they actually are equal, but it would be a fraction that would have more pieces to a fraction that would have smaller pieces. Don't forget, if this was a pizza and 2 people were being served this, they'd be served the same amount. That's why they're equal. They would just look different. This person would have 1 bigger slice as opposed to 2 smaller slices, okay? So like another example would be, let's go over to this one. So 6/42. And again, we found these yesterday, so this is not too much new information today, just a little bit. But I wanted to go to a smaller fraction, and I wanted, let's say I gave you the bottom this time. Okay, the denominator. Well, same thing. I know that since I'm getting to a smaller number, I have to divide. It's up to me to find out what I need to divide by, and I can use multiplication to help me for that. 42 divided, I can use division for that. 42 divided by 7 is 6. So I have to divide by 6 to get to 7. And remember, in order to be an equivalent, I have to do the same to that numerator. And so 6 divided by 6 is 1, okay? So essentially, you're just going backwards. Yesterday was each time was you multiplying, creating a fraction that would have more pieces. Today is going to be a combination of both. You are also going to do that in iExcel. You're going to have a similar, so I'm going to give you a worksheet. I'm going to do a couple problems with you. You're going to have a homework slide that you'll turn into me, and then you're going to go and do the same thing on iExcel. And then I have a challenge iExcel skill for you. If you want to take it even a step further, it's going to be considered optional, okay? But I would really love for you guys to give it a try, okay? So you'll have one required one, and then you'll have one optional one. But I say go for it, especially because we have an extended weekend. So what I'm going to show you is just a smaller version of what you're going to go for today. And so this first one is a really good example of that. And so if you look, they gave you both numerators, but you're getting smaller. So if you see that you're getting smaller, then that's automatically a sign that it's going to be division. And so 8 divided by 2 gets you 4. So now you would just do the same thing to the denominator. Okay, and so this is going to get me 5s. Okay, now I could always go back and check with multiplication. 4 times 2 is 8, 5 times 2 is 10. But I guess that depends on how comfortable you feel with that basic division. Okay, now you'll notice that the blank is over here this time. Okay, so you're going this way to find out. So because you're going this way, you're going to have to go this way at the top, and you're still getting smaller. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. And so you're going to do the same thing with this, and 12 divided by 4 is 3, okay? You'll notice that the arrows might change direction. I would always draw it from the to the blank one, so like here, because you're going to go this way, and then draw it the same direction here and figure out what you have to do. I'm going from 5 to 1, so that's division. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So now I do the same to the bottom, and I get 3. Don't forget, if you feel more comfortable with multiplication, you can always use multiplication to check your answers, okay? Same thing here. I'm going to be going backwards. So I need to go backwards on the top. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I'll do the same to the denominator, and I get 7, okay? So same thing here, I'm going backwards. So I'm gonna go backwards on the top. 4 divided by 2 is gonna get me 2. And so 18 divided by 2 is gonna get me 9. Okay. Now I'm gonna skip over this to 27 here just to kind of show you a different example. This is what we saw yesterday. So I'm going forward. So I'm gonna go forward here. Now I'm getting bigger. So this goes back to yesterday where I do 5 times 3. So do the same to the bottom, and I should be saying denominator, I'm sorry, but 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, let me find one more of those. Go down to this one. So I'm going this direction, which means I need to go that direction on the top, and I'm getting bigger in my numbers. So 6 times 3 is 18, so I would do the same thing at the bottom. So today is not a lot of new information. You're still finding equivalent fractions, but this time you have to decide, is it going to be multiplication or division? And that's going to be based on, first off, which number is missing, okay? And then deciding, is it getting smaller or larger? If it's getting larger, then you would multiply. If it's getting smaller, then you would have to divide. I think it's about just really going slow and making sure that it really looks good when you're done. And maybe that means going back and looking each of the problems over before you submit. So again, you'll have a homework slide and an IXL skill. And for those of you, especially I know in my class, I always had those kids that really wanted to be challenged. Go ahead and give yourself another try. That one's going to be a little bit harder, but even if you just give it a try for 15 minutes, that's great. So this is the last lesson for 7-4. Next week, we're going to move on to something else. So if you feel like you're still struggling with this skill, make sure you reach out to me and ask for help, because we're going to go a step further next week with a brand new skill. Okay, good luck, you guys.